DC Mayor Muriel Bowser criticized the Capitol Police for their response to the riots as they broke out, as these rabid Trump supporters broke into the Capitol building and vandalized property. There were pipe bombs shown, I'm sorry, not shown, but found by authorities. Dozens of people were eventually arrested. Yes, there were people who were armed. I'm sick of the right wing pretending like people were not armed. Weapons were recovered from what went down yesterday. But the question of why the police were unprepared. And I say unprepared because it looked like they were unprepared, but the question is, what was really going on behind the scenes? We know that there have been threats about January 6th. For weeks, we knew that something was likely to go down. The question is, why weren't there enough cops there? The mayor said she believes federal law enforcement responded more forcefully to Black Lives Matter civil rights protests in the city last summer than they did to violence on Wednesday inside and around the perimeter of the Capitol. She called for an investigation into that apparent disparity. And there have been calls for people to step down and people to lose their jobs. And I'll give you an update on that in just a second. But she's right. And I want to show you some images of what it looked like within the Capitol building yesterday. You have this man holding a number of zip ties and of course, like, what do you think he's gonna do with those zip ties? Luckily, congressional lawmakers evacuated before he could enter the room and were told to shelter in place. But I think it's pretty clear what those zip ties are for. As is mentioned in that tweet, the Trump guy brought zip ties to the congressional chamber. They were planning to take hostages. And remember, this isn't a far-fetched thing. The governor of Michigan was the target of right-wing extremists, and their plan was to kidnap her, hold her hostage, and possibly murder her. So right-wing extremists in this country continue to be a huge problem. The FBI has been warning us about that for a long time now, and those warnings have largely been ignored. There was also a noose outside of the Capitol building. Seems like it would take some time to erect that noose and get that ready. But it's just interesting that no real response from police as all of this was going down. Police also found a cooler with Molotov cocktails in a vehicle that had, and a vehicle, by the way, that had long guns in it. There were weapons found on the scene. So anyone who's trying to minimize this and make it seem like, oh, it was just a bunch of like Trump supporters who are, they're just getting rowdy. It's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal.
You're absolutely right. This, in fact, it proves the point of the Black Lives Matter movement, what happened yesterday, because anyone with eyes saw the way that they soft pedaled, backpedal. I mean, it is so fishy what happened yesterday. Look, I've been arrested multiple times in New York. I have friends. I've been to DC and protested many times, for things like stopping the war, global justice. We don't want the IMF running the governments and economies of, global South nations. Yay, remember that fight? Yeah. Friends of mine got their faces like beaten in by cops, like mega $1 million settlements. Just so the brutality of the DC police, of the Capitol Police. When they want to, they absolutely can. Something happened yesterday. Something happened. I don't know what. But as Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine said, some of those who work forces are the same that burn crosses. And so when you see security guards and police opening up fences and or putting up not that big of a fight when it comes to preventing these insurrectionists from entering the Capitol building, it makes us all wonder. And it proves BLM's point, because BLM's point is that there is a discrepancy between the ways that white Americans and Black Americans are treated in the face of the law. And 9 times out of 10, police are used to patrol and to occupy and to brutalize Black communities and keep them in line. And the 1% of the time is the time we saw yesterday. And it's just kind of it's a negotiation. It's a talking down. I never heard get on the ground, not once from those videos. And guess what? I've also never seen all of last year, all of the BLM demonstrations, all of the police brutality, how many times did you see a fist flying the other way? How many times did you see a demonstrator try and clock a cop? I didn't see a single time. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but yesterday, like what? I can't even keep track of how many times I saw people try and attack police. So
no, it was amazing.
The last thing I'm gonna say is like, there is, look, Blue Lives Matter is a piece of crap. Like the Blue Lives Matter movement is BS. It's just a racist movement, okay? It's just, we want black people in their place. That's all it is. Blue lives don't matter to these people. You heard on the videos, they were saying F the cops openly and loudly.
Well, just today, news broke that one of the cops who was there with the DC police died from what happened yesterday. We don't know all the details yet. This story was late breaking, but there were four Trump supporters who also died as being part of this disgusting effort to storm the Capitol building. We talked about the woman who was shot in either the chest or the neck. There are conflicting reports on that. And I also find it strange that we still don't have very many details on what happened in that particular incident. And then there were 3 others who died from health emergency related issues. And I mean, just the lack of detail into what was really going on. Yes. Why were shots fired within the Capitol? And we'll definitely fill you guys in as soon as we learn more and we can confirm more. But you're absolutely right. Like the thing that was so jarring to me was I can't imagine like anyone feeling emboldened enough to throw punches at these cops, right? And you just see it. You see them fighting as if it's just like a street fight, not a big deal, not a big deal at all. And I want to show you other, pieces of footage that have gotten some attention online for obvious reasons. For instance, cops also help them out by opening up barricades. We've talked about that. I didn't see cops opening gates or barricades for BLM protesters. Cops also took selfies with them. So here's one video that shows them getting rowdy. And look, the cops right here, there's really not much they can do. There's only a few of them, but the question is, why are there a few of them?
Absolutely.
Why are there a few of them? And then there's another video that we had that showed, literally showed them opening a barricade for them. And in that case, come on. And then Brett, I actually wanna go to the selfie video next because we can keep our sound up and use it as B-roll, but you have actual footage from, I believe, that Baked Alaska white nationalist guy showing cops like happily taking images or selfies with these people who breached the Capitol building and proceeded to vandalize congressional offices. On a day, by the way, where pipe bombs were found near the RNC and the DNC. And here's how they responded to Black Lives Matter. Let's take a look at how prepared they were for people who wanted to protest against brutal policing and excessive force in this country. I mean, it looked like absolute war, right? Mm-hmm. They came ready.
Yeah, this is Iraq, Afghanistan. All the stuff that we've shipped abroad comes back and polices anyone who dares stand up for the right to not be gunned down in the street. Anyone who stands up for against a war or for healthcare, like so many of the healthcare organizers trying to prevent the overturning of the ACA being, hauled out in wheelchairs.
We have that video, by the way.
Yeah,
can we go to
let's
the
go
last
to that
video here that shows those protesters? This is in 2017. This is protesters who are worried about healthcare getting dragged out of the Capitol building. So, if you challenge the profit of private insurance companies and try to just secure the bare minimum that Americans have gotten in healthcare protections, you'll get dragged out of the building. There's no question. So I do want to give you some updates on what's happening in regard to some consequences, although I don't think it's enough, and I hope that there is a full-blown investigation. The US Capitol Police Chief, Stephen Sund, is resigning amid criticism over the lack of preparedness to deal with Wednesday's violent mob on Capitol Hill. Pelosi also called for the resignation for Sund, and luckily he will be stepping down. But this is a systemic problem. I think it goes beyond getting rid of one or two people. They need to do more because obviously there's an issue with police that are not only complicit, but supportive of what went down yesterday. Yep. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, by the way, said that he will fire Senate Sergeant at Arms Mike Stenger when Democrats take majority later this month. As you guys know, those two Senate runoff races in Georgia went in favor of the Democratic candidates. So Democrats will have control of the Senate. And so that's really good news. Nancy Pelosi said that House Sergeant at Arms Paul Irving will be resigning after the Capitol was run over Wednesday by a pro-Trump mob. So a little bit of good news, but certainly not enough. And we do need to see a full investigation into why there was really no real response or reaction to these Trump zealots, right-wing extremists, and gang members who stormed into the Capitol building.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.